always on his mind, and often he's lurking just a few steps away, watching her every move, learning the most private details of her life.
He had actually been up in the woods behind our house, probably using binoculars.
Mary's 8-year-old daughter Beth is no stranger to him either.
He knew that Beth had a little makeup Barbie that was on the dresser top of her room. He knew our son Steve. He knew that my parents had been to visit. He had followed me down the highway one time. In fact, he even knew where the spare key to our apartment was.
In Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Stauffer family is making last-minute preparations for a 4-year stint in the Philippines. A 36-year-old former high school math teacher, Mary, and husband Irv are Baptist missionaries. So in the mind of a man who's been stalking Mary for years, this is his one last chance to pounce.
He knew that we were leaving because he saw these 2 great big crates in our living room.
And he knows that Mary and Beth are going for last-minute haircuts at a nearby salon.
We saw a man walking toward us. And I looked up. I thought perhaps he wanted to ask directions. And he had a gun. He pulled out the gun and put it at Beth's side and said, "I need a ride."
The stranger appears to be in his 30s, Asian, wearing thick glasses. He orders Mary to drive.
He sat in the passenger seat, and he would tell me, turn right, turn left, go straight. Always with his gun at Beth's side.
I remember thinking, this isn't really happening to me. What's going on? Is this a dream? I was very scared.
I said, you know, I don't know where you're going, but we need to get there quickly because I have to get home. I have company coming for supper, and I need to get home. We came to an intersection that was a T, and there happened to be a police car behind us. And he was at that point very nervous. He said, you turn right, and if that police car turns the same way we do, you're dead.
The stranger soon orders Mary to stop in a remote wooded area. Without a word, he binds their hands and feet and pushes them towards the back of the car.
He opened the trunk, and I realized he was going to put us in the trunk. That was very, very scary for me. I said, please don't put us in the trunk. We won't be able to breathe. We were lying face down, and then the trunk was closed.
Struggling in the sweltering darkness, mother and daughter begin to pray. Eventually, Mary loosens the thick ropes around Beth, but the stranger, angered by their prayers, suddenly stops the car.
And he raised the trunk lid and saw that her ropes were untied.
She says her captor's surprised, even indignant about their efforts to escape, so he slides the spare tire on top of them. Mary has no way of knowing his twisted plan. Author Eileen Biernat chronicled the bizarre story in a book called Stalking Mary. She took us to the remote area where Mary's captor had pulled over.
2 little boys walk up toward the car, and one stays at the front of the car, one walks to the back trunk where he has it open, and he looks in and he sees this woman and child duct taped together and is alarmed and says, whoa.
All of a sudden, something was placed on my feet. And then I could hear whimpering, and I thought, this is a child. And so I started to talk. I said, my name is Mary, and I'm 36 years old, and our daughter Beth is here, and she's 8 years old. And we don't know who this man is, and we don't know what he wants, and we don't know what he's going to do to us. We found out his name was Jason. He was 6 years old.
I think he said, I'm supposed to visit my grandpa and grandma tomorrow. And we just talked about being scared.
The fear was at a very high level at that point.
Police begin searching for a 6-year-old boy named Jason Wilkman, seen abducted by a dark-haired man. But they still have no idea that Mary Stauffer and her daughter Beth are missing.
And then the car came to a stop, and the trunk lid was opened, and Jason was removed from the trunk, and then the trunk lid was closed. And then all was quiet. And I remember thinking, he's left us here to die a slow death in the trunk. And finally, after who knows how long, the trunk lid was open.
The man orders them into his van, abandoning Mary's car in the woods. Night is falling, and Mary's husband Irv and 6-year-old Steve are so worried they've called police.
Steve and I were at home alone, wondering what's happening. Where are Mary and Beth? Why haven't they come home yet?
Mom's not the kind to run away. Mom loves me. Mom loves Dad. Mom loves my sister. There hasn't been any arguments.
They have no idea that just 6 miles away, Mary and Beth, blindfolded, are being led into a small house and forced into a tiny bedroom closet, a closet that's been converted into a prison.
There was a light bulb with a pull chain. There was a scatter rug on the floor and 2 small throw pillows.
She knows right away this was not a random occurrence, that this was planned. And their terror, of course, escalated at that point.
You walk into this closet, and he closes the door.
Yes. He took a screwdriver and removed the doorknob from the inside of the door, and we were locked into that closet.
This was his moment of triumph. He had found the person he wanted all these years, and he had her in his control. And he believed that it was simply a matter of time, that if she were with him long enough, she would come to love him.
Mary and Beth huddle in the darkness, wondering what's become of the little boy, Jason, and what was this man going to do to them.
Our hands were still tied. We could not reach up and turn on the light. And so the only thing we could do is lie down on that floor. And we just had to try to get some rest because we didn't know what the next day would bring.